I'm a little nervous. There's nothing to be ashamed of and there's nothing to be nervous about, but like I'm gonna be talking about anxiety and here I am feeling a little anxious. Welcome back to my channel. I am Just Sheik. I'm a content creator and cosplayer and also a live streamer on Twitch. I have been enjoying sharing lots of fun little cozy vlogs on my YouTube channel, but since October 10th is near, I wanted to make this video to help bring awareness to mental health. Because mental health is an invisible thing, I think a lot of people tend to forget that you really never know who's going through something or what they're going through. So with this video, I really hope that I can encourage somebody or just help somebody not feel alone in what they're going through or what they have gone through. The first time I vividly remember dealing with any type of mental health problems, I didn't know what I was dealing with. I was 11 years old, about 11, 12, and I went on my first camping trip with a church group. It was like a camping but at a college, so it was in the mountains, but we were like in dorm rooms. And I remember it was just a few days, but I had like a tightness in my chest and I felt like I couldn't breathe well. And whoever I talked to, I can't remember, it was a counselor or somebody, they were convinced it was the elevation, which that could play a part. But I remember being like, I've been to the mountains. I went to Yosemite National Park. I lived very close to there. So I was just kind of used to it. I thought, well, that's just kind of weird. I just never felt like I couldn't breathe. And there was also this weird fluttery feeling of something bad going to happen, but I didn't know what. So as the days went by, it was just a few days, I still had fun-ish, but I was a very introvert child. So it was out of my comfort zone. And I didn't know too many people. I attended a church that was outside of my town. Pause there. My parents were going through a divorce around this time, or maybe, I think this is right before it happened. So who knows what I was like hearing or seeing, and this is nothing against my parents. I don't really remember much because my mom sheltered us from a lot of their disagreements or fights or whatever. She really didn't want us to be involved because like we were just children, we didn't know what was going on. So I didn't feel like too much, like it didn't seem bad, but I'm sure maybe I felt something. So anyway, while I'm on this trip, that's starting to happen, and then once I got home after that, it wasn't anything crazy, it subsided and I forgot about it. Skip a couple years, I struggled taking medication for with painkillers or any medication. Anything that was in the form of a pill, I struggled taking. I was already afraid of medicine because anything that affected me or made me feel weird, it kind of started getting triggered and connecting it with the anxiety feeling. Like I was just like, I don't want to take something that makes me feel different or feel weird. And so I just struggled just even swallowing pills. So as a girl, I just was like facing freaking PMS with no medication, and I got bad cramps. Let me tell you, they were so bad. So I ended up getting these off the counter. It was an Excedrin tablet that was like dissolvable, and I remember I took 3 within a few hours because I just had such bad pain. And I want to say I took 2, and then a couple hours I still had pain, so I took 1 more, and then I went to sleep. Well, these tablets had a lot of caffeine. They had a lot of caffeine in them. I probably didn't even eat with them like an idiot, but I was a like 14-year-old kid at this point, I think 13, 14. I shouldn't have even taken them, but I did. I was living with my dad. This is after the divorce. So I'm just with my dad and he's asleep, and I wake up to my heart freaking out. It's like going so fast. I feel like I can't breathe and I'm like, what's going on? I feel like extremely full of fear. And I remember I walked like to his room and I'm like, Dad, and I don't know what to say. I'm just like, I feel scared, like my heart's racing. I think I took too much medicine or something like that. I don't know. I don't really remember what I said, but I remember like seeing him in bed. He got freaked out because I'm like standing by the door. So I'm one of those kids being like, Dad. And he's just like, you're fine, go to sleep. I don't even know if he remembers that. But he said I was fine and to go to bed. He's like, just lay down or drink water, something very vague. And I was just like, are you kidding me right now? I feel like I'm gonna die. My sister's not there. I wish she was. I ended up calling my mom. My mom's still awake or something, and she ends up reading a book like what to do when you're like took too many painkillers or something. So she starts looking in and she's like, hey, you need to eat bread, drink some milk, something to kind of calm your stomach down, and absorb. I guess just absorb, even though at that point it's all in my blood system. The caffeine's going. It's the caffeine. I'm panicking. I'm pacing my kitchen. Literally just freaked out. After that, I sit at my couch. I did everything my mom told me. I barely could eat. I did not feel like eating. If anyone knows what anxiety attacks feel like, you don't feel like eating. So I'm like, oh, I don't like how I feel. I don't want to eat. I think at one point, before that, I was just sitting on the ground being like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm dying. And I just was just sitting there just rocking back and forth. I didn't know what to do. My heart, everything. The house is dark. I'm just feel like I can't rely on my dad. And so I just freaked out. But thankfully, talking to my mom on the phone, she had her friend over who she was kind of knew something. So she was like, just do this. It's going to be okay. And they were using very calm voices. And I'm like, okay, okay. And I remember turning on some sort of Christian television, something calm, I put on at night because it was 2 a.m. or something. I don't know. And I fell asleep with my little plate of bread, because I think eventually I woke up before my dad and I went back to my room. So a couple years, not too many, go by. I'm at Warped Tour with my friends. I'm excited. I'm finally getting out. I'm doing things. I hadn't really experienced any other anxiety. I stayed away from those painkillers after that. I think I just stuck to some stuff that kind of helped, but really I just suffered. I suffered every month. Horrible cramps, throwing up, dealing with it, so afraid of taking medication. Warped Tour. I'm 15 years old. We get there, it's fun, I'm having a good time. I start to be a little uncomfortable because the crowds start getting bigger. The sun's beating on me. I start to feel overstimulated, where I'm just I'm just thinking a lot, it's lots going on, and I'm I feel I don't like this feeling. And then I start remembering, this is a feeling I felt before. I don't like this, it's happening again. Mind you, the whole time, no one's ever explained to me anxiety attacks or any of that stuff. I do know that the friend I was with did mention some things, and so I start telling her, and she's like, I think you're having a panic attack. And I'm like, a panic attack? There's nothing to panic about. And she's like, it's okay. She brought me in, and she had anxiety issues. I think she was on medication for it. Yeah, she was on medication. So that helped, telling somebody and hearing them say, okay, I know what's going on, let's go inside. So she's like, let's cool down, let me get you water. So that was really helpful. She got water. I'm sitting there, and all I can think is, I gotta go home. I gotta get out of here. I can't deal with this right now. And so I'm panicking, heart's racing. And in your mind at the time, you're just I don't want people to know this is happening to me. You see everyone all around, you hear the noises, and your just brain's I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out here. But it's weird because it's not you can't connect. You're suddenly disconnected because everyone around you is partying it up. They're having fun. They're not panicking too, where everything makes sense. And you're oh shoot, this is a panic. Everyone we're all scared. No, everyone else is having a good old time. I'm the one freaking out. So you feel extremely alone in it, and it's just makes it worse. So thankfully, I literally am so thankful to God that I saw that my dad's best friend, who I considered an uncle to me, his son was playing at Warped Tour in their band. And so I remember that he was there, and my dad, or I don't know how we got a hold of him. I think I might have called my dad, and he called him and was like, hey, and I told him where I was meeting in the building. And he came up to me and he's like, I'll take you home, and you're gonna be okay. And he was kind of are you all right? What do you, and I'm I don't know. I don't feel good. I just kept saying I don't feel good. And he's like, maybe it's the heat. Maybe it's this. And I'm yeah. And I'm just kind of going with whatever, just take me home. Once I got home, I remember I felt really defeated because I was so excited for the Warped Tour. I left my friends there, and I just was alone in my room, and I cried a lot. And that was during the summer. I ended up getting more and more, it started to happen more. So eventually this is when my mom took me, because I think, I woke up, I started staying at her house. After this, it started happening more and more. And one night I stayed at my mom's house, and I had another panic attack. It just started happening a lot. I had to go to her room, and she starts praying with me, and I'm like, I can't breathe, I'm hyperventilating. Like at that point, like I'm just hyperventilating. I just, you know, your whole body's tingly. You just feel like you can't calm down. Like no matter what you do, you can't catch your breath, you can't relax. And so she was like, we need to call the doctors. So she's trying to call my doctor, and they're like, it's too late. And so she leaves a message. The next morning, they're like, we can get her in. Let's come do some tests, and then also blood results, or sorry, a blood test. Because I'm like, what if I'm dying with something? It literally makes you feel like you're dying with something. So I went in, and they did my blood. They took a lot of vials, like probably like 7 or so they took of it. My doctor, though, had a nice chat with me. She chatted with me without my mom in the room. She's like, it sounds like anxiety, but it could be other things that are causing this as well, like, you know, not being able to breathe well or feeling really weak and lightheaded. She's just like, we're going to take some blood so that we can make sure that there's no underlying things that are also causing this. And I'm like, oh, okay. So days go by, I'm nervous as heck, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? Do I have diabetes? Do I have this? Do I have that? My brain's going nuts. Of course, the anxiety makes it worse. Days pass. I'm back at my doctor's office, and she's like, okay, we got the results of your blood test. And I'm like, oh gosh, Lord, please. I'm too young to die. The doctor's like, your blood is beautiful. And I'm like, beautiful? I don't know. She said it was beautiful. And she's like, your blood work is beautiful. You are so healthy. I'm thinking, clearly something's going on. So she's like, sits me down, and she's like, what's going on is what I was thinking. She's like, it is in your head. And I'm like, so I'm just going crazy here. No 15-year-old wants to just be told, oh, it's in your head. It's just in your head. She's like, I don't mean it in the bad way. She was a very kind doctor. She's like, I believe this is, she's like, you are dealing with general anxiety disorder is what she said, diagnosed it as. I don't know if that was her place to diagnose. She's like, I can't go too deep into it because you will need to see a different doctor. And so she was just like, I can see who you can talk with. I really feel, so she's like, I could give you we can give you medication for this. We can get you set up with a therapist and everything. She's like, but you are young. I don't want to push you in or pressure you into anything. From some of the stuff I told her, she was like, I think you have a lot going on that's in here. It's affecting you physically. And from what I know, you are spending a lot of time in your room, like at your computer and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, the best thing though is you talk with someone, get these emotions and everything you're going through out, start to get a healthier diet. Because even though I was healthy, like my blood results were healthy, I told her like my habits, and she was just like I did not get out. I was home all the time. I was playing my games. I was literally playing like these like online like life games where you just like live online. That was my life. And so she was like, I can subscribe you some medication. She's like, the only thing I can give you right now though is like a inhaler so that I felt like I could breathe. So she's like, we could give you this. So I took it, but I never ended up taking it. I didn't want to. But she's like, I really think you should talk with somebody and get some physical activity in there and all this stuff. And she's like, I know you're part of a church, so maybe you can find someone there and find some peace in that. And I'm like, yeah. This was during the summer, and as school began, I still had some anxiety attacks. They weren't too panicky all the time. Once in a while was a panic attack, but I started just having some anxiety attacks. I would talk to my mom. I started to cry about like my parents' divorce, things that I didn't realize bothered me. The more I talked about them, I realized they did bother me. It's really weird how the brain tries to protect itself, and it's like, it's fine, you're fine, you're fine, you don't need any help. But really, as I talked about it and my mom like expressed her own feelings, we had a good like connection and got closer in this time. We got really close. And there was a few times where as a teenager, literally sitting with my mom crying in her arms. And then I even shared the bed with her because I was so afraid of getting the anxiety. And she would like we would fall asleep to like classical music. She did her best to help me stay calm. I ended up getting like doing better. I went like back, school started up again the new year, and I think that was junior year. And then the next summer came around, so I was able to go to school. I felt fine during high school. Like during the school days, I was fine. At home, I did okay. But as soon as the summer came around, once it was like a month and a half into the summer, the feelings came back. And of course, now as I'm older, I see my pattern. I would be back on my computer doing nothing, not even reaching out to my friends, slowly just becoming this little hermit, and then the anxiety would get me. All the while, I still tried going to church here and there. I didn't always go, depending on which parent I was with. My dad kind of just did his own thing. He was going through a lot. He was going through depression as well. So that was a whole other thing. My dad was going through stuff. No one talked about it. I was going through stuff, and I just basically was just falling apart. I was in a long distance relationship. Sorry that this is all over the place, kind of how I tell a story. So I was in a long distance relationship during these later years, 18 through 20 something. I was in 2 different long distance relationships. One ended, it was not great. I got into another one that wasn't great. It wasn't healthy. And I'm not going to talk about the people I was with. That just doesn't matter right now. I will mention a few things that did play a part in it, but just so you know, I was in a relationship. I dated one person in high school, but then it just didn't work out either. So I was just like not in these healthy relationships either. And as high school's ending, I wasn't sure what to do, so I didn't go to school right away. I ended up just trying to work. I worked a little bit at a pizza place, and then I felt traumatized there. I ended up quitting that and started cosplaying more. So I got really into cosplay. I started selling stuff online, like from the beginning. Like, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I loved the feeling of being home, especially with my mental health problems. Being home, sewing things, making things. I loved when people were like, I bought it. Like just sending stuff off. I just thought it felt so good to make money off of my talents. And so I did that for a bit, and the person I was dating was in the military. He would send me money to like help me out because I didn't make a lot, and I would do babysitting here and there, which that helped. And then eventually I started getting, like, I was getting more anxiety, and I joined college for a little bit, but I still got some anxiety. So this is like 18, 19. As 19 gets closer to 20, anxiety just comes in full-fledged. One relationship was ending, the other one starting. The anxiety was real. This is the point in my life where I was very wishy-washy with my faith as well. So I was kind of like, I know you're there, God. Like, I get it. You're there. I don't know why you're letting me go through this. This is like, why? Like, you're all about peace. Why am I lacking it? Which now I'm kind of like, girl, you weren't even inviting him into your life. Like, I was just like, I would bring up God when I wanted to complain, but like when things were great, I was like, whatever. It's not really how it works with any relationship. So God was there, and my mom would pray for me, and that would help. She was always praying for me, always giving me words of encouragement and getting me out to walk. So those things helped. They very much helped. But I just still slowly fell into this dark hole of I didn't know what to do with my life. I didn't know what I was doing. I was in bad relationships, and my fears became so bad that I felt like I couldn't leave the house. My mom would ask me to get the mail while she's at work. She would have me water her plants. I would panic just being outside. I can't even walk. At one point, this was like for a few months, I couldn't even walk to the mailbox. I would just start like hyperventilating and this extreme fear. Like, I'm getting goosebumps remembering how bad it affected me. Our mailbox was like not very close. It wasn't right by our house. It was an apartment complex, so you had to like walk down this path to get to it. But even then, it's not that far. But I couldn't even handle it. And the last time, I remember I freaked out so bad. I called my mom. She's like, I can't leave work right now. There was a few times she like would try to come early, and I was so relieved when she came. A few times I asked my sister to hang out with me, even though she'd be bored, and she'd take naps. And I remember I'd look at her being like, to be able to just be at peace and take naps. Like, I couldn't even sleep at night. I would like cry standing by my window, just staring outside of it, being like, this is my life. I live in torment now. And I remember that one of the last few times my aunt came over, and she's like, we're gonna pray about this. Like, and she went hard. She was like praying against anything evil coming against me, anything like health related, or even anything that I might be doing that's inviting this ugliness into my mind and my soul. Like, my family's very spiritual, so they were like attacking it in a spiritual way. But also, she was a nurse, so she was like, I don't think it's good that you're just sitting here at home. And I'm like, but I feel like I can't even leave. And so she encouraged small steps. She's like, every day, just small steps. Put your prayer, meditation, take little walks, and speak like positive things. Speak life. Speak how you're not going to stay in this. And so she's like, your brain is just so like this. And she's like, make sure you're eating, don't have caffeine. So I started to really cut out caffeine and certain foods, I guess, that like made you feel certain ways. And so she just came about it in both ways. So it was really helpful. It was like, this is like a physical way to help. This is a spiritual way to help, like all the balance. And honestly, to whoever's listening to this, there is a balance. Like we need to take care of every part of our body, our mental health, but also spiritual health and emotional health. So after that, I started working on it. I would play my praise songs, which we worship God in. I would be like, Jesus, just help me with today. What do I need to do? And I started to have more and more faith. I would go out more. I would water my mom's plants, and it felt so good. Like sometimes when I felt the panic coming, I would water, like wet my hands. Like the feeling of cold water helped calm me down. Sometimes I would just laugh about things to get my body to be like, it's okay. I learned that snacking kind of helped, like here and there, like when you felt the panic coming on, take a snack. And just so I would go outside, I'd eat cherries because we had a cherry tree nearby, and I would sit out there. I at one point like had a bucket and was spitting. Like I was by myself a lot, and even though people would try to help me, like I didn't have a life, but I was trying the best with what I had. So this goes for anyone who struggles with agoraphobia. You might, like some people be like, go out and get a job, go out, do this. It's like sometimes you really have to work on your brain first. That comes next, but you'll just panic. You'll panic and you'll lose your job. So you gotta like take care of yourself physically first. So I was doing that daily, and I would start to journal. I started to write in my journal things that would bother me, and every year I started this whole, since then I have a yearly journal. Every year I get a journal and I write in it, and then I'll go back and read my old journal sometimes. It's really nice. I write my prayers, I write what I'm going through, I write angry thoughts, happy thoughts, sad thoughts. But as time went by, and I eventually got a job, because I remember one night we were praying really hard, and I was like, what job is going to want to take me when I have these issues? Some of you probably are like, okay girl, like why didn't you ever get on medication? I did try some medication, and I remember a week or so after, I just felt like a zombie. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. So I talked with my doctor. They're like, there's other ones you can try. I had friends who were like, yeah, I could take a few different ones, but if you're really like, I'm like, I don't want to. I really want to see if I can live my life without being medicated. I just didn't. I felt it deeply in myself. I didn't want to. This doesn't mean if you're watching that you should just get off your medication if you're on it. I'm not trying to just encourage people not to do it, but I will say my story, I didn't stick to medication. I found other ways. So I just want to disclaim that I am not a doctor and I can't tell you what to do with your body, but I will say that I chose the route where I didn't do that. It was really hard though. It was so hard, but to this day now I can say that I don't have to worry about taking medication or taking more and more bigger doses because I didn't go that route. I ended up getting called for a job. Like a friend told their mom and was just like, hey, like she needs a job, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, we have an opening working with kids at a church. And I'm like, first of all, I don't really care about kids that much. Like they're cool and all, but I don't want to work with them. But I'm like, I don't have any other choice. And it was only $10 hours a week. So I'm like, okay, it's something. It's at a church. Like, and I ended up doing that. Yes, I got anxiety while I was there, but a lot of the times I was alone. Not bad alone. Like, there were still people around, but they were so kind. Everyone was very kind, loving. The place was AC, so it was like, oh, it felt so good in there. I would just prep work. I did a lot of paperwork. I did a lot of walking because it was a big church, so I'd be walking in different rooms. And I just felt a peace there. Like, I just had a peace. So even though once in a while I got anxiety, and there was a few times I would find a room that was quiet and I would do like breathing exercises and I would just pray and I felt better. And it was in that time that I just felt like God's like I'm here. It's okay. You're getting through this. I started working there more and more, and I would be filled with everyone that's just encouraging. People would ask if I needed prayer, and sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling kind of like anxious or this and that. I usually try not to say too much, but A lot of people are like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes you, like with anxiety, you really, a lot of times I didn't think anything was wrong, but my brain's freaking out. As I continue to work and I got out more, I grew my relationship with God, and I just asked him, like at one point, I'm just like, Jesus, just please be the peace in my heart. Not my computer, not my even friends, anything. Like all those can be stripped from me. Like I can lose any of that. But like no one can take God or Jesus from me. They can't. They can even, you don't even have to believe in it. Does like someone could straight up be like, I don't believe in God. That doesn't take him from me. He's there, and no one can convince me otherwise. Because the peace that I got after all this, constantly just praying, and as I prayed, I'd like to say this because sometimes I think like, why didn't it just go away right away? Why didn't it? But I learned so much more going through this, facing this time, because I realized a lot of the times I just wanted to put a band-aid on it. Just put a band-aid, it's gonna get better, it's done. But honestly, a lot of the times, you guys, like band-aids are good, but you gotta open it up so that wound fully heals. Otherwise, it just like takes 5 years to heal. I ended up learning so much more about trusting in God, about looking at life differently, seeing my patterns and how I was using my computer or relying on these boyfriends that I had. So many different things that I felt like I was trying so hard to hold on to, and I was just freaking out. The resentment and hurt that I held from my parents' divorce, some other friendships and things. As I talked more and prayed more with God, I feel like those would come up to mind, and so I'd be like, okay, maybe I need to deal with that. I need to deal with that. And eventually it was almost like shedding off layers. It was like, oh, okay, like I got to the root of the issue. That's what I did. I got to the root of the issue. And I slowly started to find peace in what really mattered. And I hung out with my family more. I spoke about my feelings more. To this day, you can ask my Twitch community. I don't shut my mouth about everything. I'm just like, I'm feeling this. Honestly, guys, I'm feeling this. Like, I no longer was that very introverted, quiet person being like, no one understands me. Now I'm like, hey, you may not understand this, but I'm gonna throw it up. I'm gonna say it. And even if this doesn't make sense, this video, I truly believe someone out there is listening to this. You are listening to this and relating to this. Whether you're a Christian or not, whether you're a believer or not, anxiety is very real. And it's important to get to the root of the issue. Yes, there are scientific things with it. Your brain can have problems and be broken, but ultimately there are so many things that can still help with the peace. Do I still get anxiety here and there? Yes, I do. Does it keep me from living my life every day? No, thankfully. But it is a thorn in my side. It's something I've kind of grown to accept. It's kind of helped me not do dumb things. Some things I'm like, okay, my body's really not feeling this, and I'm like, okay, cool, like we just won't do that. Has it helped me reach and connect with other people who suffer from it? Yes. And as scary as it was, now I feel like people going through it, I can share and relate with them. Because people who don't know what it's like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna take your word too much. You don't know what it feels like to panic, to feel like your mind is tormented, to feel like you're dying even though nothing physically is wrong. With that, I feel like I've shared a lot. I hope that I didn't miss some things out. I feel like I can go definitely deeper into it, maybe deeper into agoraphobia, how I started showing signs of ADHD. There's so many things with my brain that I could, but I really felt to share this story with you. And if you have any questions, I do have lots of other tips of things that have helped me physically, spiritually, mentally, that have helped me handle my anxiety as I continue to grow and heal from things. I appreciate you all listening to this and listening. Mental health is real. It truly is real. And physical health and spiritual health can help. So I hope that this has helped somebody, and please, if you have any questions, let me know. Leave comments or message me. I have a Discord as well, and I am so open with sharing anything else that I can. If you'd like, I could even make videos breaking down certain parts of this video, or tips and tricks and things that help me. I love you. I care about you. You're not alone. A lot of people are suffering with mental health things, and they need they need to know that they're not alone in it. And even if you're someone who's never suffered from anxiety or depression or the many mental health struggles, we still appreciate those who bring awareness, help or bring awareness. But if you do have a story, I encourage you to share it. God bless you. I love you. Thank you so much for watching. Feels like some like Disney outro. I don't know. Never mind. Never mind. All right, cut. We're done.